Good morning, and thank you for joining us for the 2024 Mideastern Athletic Conference Weekly Football Coaches Video Conference. I am Elise Scripter, Director of Strategic Communications for the Mideastern Athletic Conference, and I will serve as moderator and co-host of today's question and answer session. Before we begin, I would like to go over today's procedures. The conference will begin with the MEAC notes, featuring conference highlights, upcoming events, and weekly accolades. Afterwards, we will ask each head coach questions about the previous matchups, the upcoming games, followed by questions from the media. To ask a question, simply click the raise hand feature and remain muted until you're introduced. And now for the weekly notes. This weekend in women's volleyball action, we have crowned our regular season champion in the Howard University Bison. The Bison defeated Coppin State in a 5-set match yesterday afternoon to improve to 13-0 in MEAC play with one match remaining before the MEAC tournament begins on November 22nd. Coppin State sits second, while hosts Delaware State sit third. In women's bowling, North Carolina A&T won the first MEAC roundup of the season, going undefeated 7-0 against other MEAC teams. Morgan State finished second at 6-1, while Maryland Eastern Shore, the University of Alabama Birmingham, and Delaware State finished tied for third. And basketball season is in full swing now, with some major wins coming over non-conference opponents. Norfolk State's men and women's teams are 3-0, with the women collecting wins over William & Mary, Longwood, and their first ever SEC victory coming against Missouri, 57-54. And Norfolk State's men collected an 83-69 win over James Madison. And that concludes the weekly notes. And now joining me as co-host throughout the season is the executive producer of the MEAC Digital Network, Mr. Lynn Thompson. Welcome, Lynn, and thank you for being here with us. Let's talk some MEAC football.
Let's do that. Thank you so much, Elise. Glad to be here. Welcome everybody on the call. Our 12th football video conference of the 24 season is upon us. And this past Saturday, we had 4 of the 6 MEAC teams in head-to-head action. The other 2 enjoyed a week off as we inch closer and closer to crowning a champion and awarding the Cricket Celebration Bowl bid. That's what's on tap today as we get ready to dive right into it. And to start us off, our first interview of the morning is with the head coach of the Howard University Bison, Coach Larry Scott. Coach, I see you there. Good morning to you.
Good morning. Good morning, man. How you doing?
Good, good, Coach. You played a very tough South Carolina State football team, and it was a very tough football game early, back and forth, but turnovers changed everything. Talk about this game and your team's performance.
Well, I think, Lynn, you just said it right there. You can't play in these type of games against a football team like that. It's a really good football team, really good defensive football team. Got some explosive playmakers on the offensive side of the ball. And critical mistakes and giving them more possessions in the game ultimately led to the outcome. 4 turnovers and a couple different sacks and situations like that. We knew going into the game we were going to have to try to control that defensive front, and did some things early to kind of help neutralize that. But, you can't overcome, that many turnovers and giving those guys that many possessions again, which I think they capitalized on maybe 1 or 2 of them that ended up in points for them and win the game. And that's absolutely what's the result of it.
Yeah, Coach. Saturday also was the last home game for some pivotal players for the Bison, players like Kenny Gallup Jr., Jared Hunter, and several other athletes. Can you talk now about the contribution that these players have made to the turnaround of the Bison football program?
No, yeah, they're the foundation. They're the rock. They're the start of it. They're the first class that we were able to bring in here when I came and took over the program. And those guys bought in, not only them, their families, their moms and dads, and brothers and sisters, and aunts and uncles. And they were faithful that always, traveled and did all of those things. And so it was a core group of guys that believed in the program, was out there helping us shovel off ice off the field so that we can practice and have lines and do all the things that, you have to do here to play football at Howard. And those guys were, pioneers of it all, helping us build it. So, yeah, they made a heck of a contribution. Their contributions have been noticed and taken, notice of with their individual accolades and all those things, and some of the things that we've been able to accomplish, in our 4-year tenure of being here, of having 2 championships and and having an awful lot of success off the field too as well in our DC community. And, as all of those guys are also graduates. So yeah, they've done it the right way and helped put this program in the position that it's in now to continue to build and grow.
Clearly, you've raised the standard, Coach, and you got to have a very short memory. Erase what happened this past Saturday as you prepare to hit the road this week to face what has emerged as a rivalry game for you in North Carolina Central in a Friday night showdown on ESPNU. Let's talk about this big ball game.
Right, you wouldn't have it any different, right? When you play college football, man, you play for these games and these moments, and that's what I've been, echoing with our football team to, be excited about the opportunity. And it's a fast turnaround. Yes, it is. I mean, we played, Saturday. We'll turn around and got to play again on Friday and got to travel. We've a very good football team in North Carolina Central's had about 2 weeks to get ready for us. So, there are going to be a lot of odds stacked against us, but you should want it that way. You should absolutely want it that way when you're talking about playing, football this time of year, in this conference against a really good football team, going into an environment that, you think was going to be a pretty electric and fun to play in type of place in an environment against a football team that is going to be fired up and ready to play and all of those things and fresh and healthy and all of those things. And we're going to have to come in there and take, what all the pieces we got left and put together from this very physical game that we got. We're going to get on the bus and get down there about 5 hours down there to Raleigh and be ready to and play a really good football team and play a really good football game.
Okay, Coach, thanks so much for chatting with me. Hold on just for a moment. Elise, we'll take it from here with the rest of the questions from the media.
Yes, sir. Thank you, Lynn. As a reminder to the media, please use the raise hand feature and remain muted until you're introduced. Our first questions for Coach Scott come from Daryl Duvall.
Hey, Coach, this is Daryl Duvall from Powering You Sports. I just want to kind of elaborate on some of the mistakes y'all made, but again, you all are not out of it yet. And your thoughts of being, if y'all win these 2 games, y'all pretty much back in the position of being in the playoffs. What is your thoughts on that?
Hey, look, right now it's Monday morning. We just played Saturday. We had a big recruiting weekend because it's all been running and in a fog for me. And right now the focus has just been on playing this one game, piecing together our football team, seeing who's healthy, how we're going to practice, with what we got and put together the very best plan we can and go down here to North Carolina and be ready to play a really good football team. So the focus is just on that. It's on a day-by-day basis for us as this window is going to be real tight with how to practice today and then making sure we're ready to go on Tuesday, Wednesday, and then travel on Thursday and be ready to play Friday. So it's a day-by-day process right now and be at his own and let all that kind of stuff play out as it plays out. Right now, I'm just concerned about getting ready for practice today, honestly.
Well, I want to say good luck this Friday Night Lights. That's what everybody's looking forward to and looking forward to a good game. And good luck.
Appreciate it. Thank you, Darryl.
You're welcome.
Our next questions for Coach Scott come from Nathaniel Henry Jr.
Good morning, Coach Scott.
Good morning, Nate. How you doing?
Great. Nathaniel Henry, Howard Sports Media. I just have one question. What is your biggest challenge as you prepare for NCCU?
Oh, man, there's a lot of challenges. They're really good on offense. They got explosive playmakers as well. Their quarterback is playing as good as any quarterback in the league and spins it well, is in command of the offense. He's a young guy that I watched warm up a few times, and when we're getting ready to play him and go, God, that kid's a backup. He's pretty special. Looks like he can play in a lot of places in the country. And then the opportunities that he's had to go out there and play in games before he was a full-time starter, you saw it. I heard Coach Oliver talk about him before in the past that he thought he could be a starter anywhere and in a lot of other places. And I truly believe that. And then now he's got his opportunity, and you can see it. He's in command of the offense. They've been very productive, highly productive. They're really good on that side. But you turn on the other side, and they do what they do on defense. They run the ball. They play hard. They play physical. You can see guys not out of gaps and stuff like that a lot. And so you're going to have to play some really high octane, disciplined, physical football on the road here against this team to give yourself a chance to win. So we definitely got some work to do over here the next 3 days before we get on that bus.
Yes, sir. Thank you and good luck.
Thank you.
Excuse me. Our next questions for Coach Scott come from Chris Stevens, HBCU Sports.
Good morning, Coach Scott. How are you?
Good morning, Chris. How are you?
Pretty good. With this, to elaborate a little bit more on this senior class that you are, going to be saying goodbye to over the next few weeks, and the kids that had a chance to, visit with you guys and see what Howard University is all about. Just how important is it for the health of this program and the future of this program for these young men that are potentially coming in to see that, guys like Eden, guys like Jared, guys like Kenny and Terrence that are going to get those looks from, the next level that they, how that helps, build Howard University football.
I think you just said it. It does. I mean, at the end of the day, proof's in the pudding, right? A lot of times you can sit in here in the office in the exit meetings with these kids and their parents and tell them that, all their dreams can come true. All their DGA can come true right here at HBCU, right here at Howard. And to have proof in the pudding that you have those type of guys that are getting those type of looks and going to have those type of opportunities. We have 2 guys from the team last year that were seniors that are both on NFL rosters right now. So at the end of the day, the proof's in the pudding. And so when you sit in here and say that, all the things that you come here to do and accomplish, both in the classroom and on the football field, can happen. You got to do the work. You got to believe. You got to come in with the mindset and mentality that it takes to do that and put yourself into the top 1% to 2% of football players in this country. It takes a special effort. It takes a special kind of person. So at the end of the day, that they can see that they can do that here. They can develop here the way that they need to. Over a 4-year period, you see guys that actually stuck it out and stayed with the program, even though they had opportunities to take other deals and go in the transfer portal and take NIL deals and do those type of things, decide that, they see value in staying at Howard University. They see value in being developed here. And they see value in their degree and their education from Howard. So at the end of the day, you want to be able to put true facts and put factual things out there and things that guys can see really happening to, entice them and keep them interested in wanting to be a Howard Bison. And we've been able to do that. And I think we brought in some really talented young classes that, now are going to start getting their opportunities. So I'm excited about where we are in that realm. I'm excited about what we're doing in recruiting. And I'm excited about the young guys in the program that are going to be coming forth as we continue to move forward.
And that was going to be my follow-up question, and then I'll get out of here. With the next couple of weeks, what do you want to see from these younger guys that you've recruited? Because obviously this is going to be their time to shine, so to speak. What do you hope to see from them, as you build towards the end of 2024 and the beginning of 2025?
Yeah, good question. I just want to see them continue to grow, believe, continue to understand the speed of the game. That you don't know what play is going to impact the result of a game. We've had some young guys early in the year make some critical errors in games, and like I said, it was an opportunity, it's teachable moments, and we learn from them and just continue to see them get better, understand that why you play the game. Yeah, true, everybody plays the game and want to be put into situations and opportunities to win championships and bring home rings, but you play for the love of the game. You started playing this game, it's a child's game now. This is a kid's game that we all started playing. You guys all started playing at 6, 7 years old. And don't lose that love and the respect and pride that you have in who you are as a football player. That should be far exceed, just playing football to win championships. You ain't going to win championships if you don't have championship pedigree. And championship pedigree is pride. It's respect for who you are, the name on the back of your jersey and the name that sits on the front of your jersey. So at the end of the day, play football for the right things. And that's what we want to continue to have these young guys understand and focus on. And when you're playing for the right things and you're doing it the right way, championships and rings and all those things happen. But let's make sure we got our priorities straight. So just continue to see these young guys play football for the right things and play football for the love of the game.
Thanks for your time as always, Coach. Best of luck this weekend.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
Our next questions for Coach Scott come from Dwayne Nash.
Good morning, Coach. Dwayne Nash from the Yard HBCU Sports and Hero Sports.
Good morning, Dwayne. How you doing?
I'm doing pretty good. How about yourself, Coach?
Doing good.
All right, this Friday's matchup is going to be between the last 2 MEAC champions. If you think about the last 2 matchups, both teams have put up 50 points against one another. Lynn kind of touched on it a little bit earlier about this becoming a rivalry. What are your thoughts about North Carolina Central and what this matchup has evolved into over the past 2 seasons?
Man, look, college football is supposed to be fun. College football is supposed to be competitive. And at the end of the day, if you find yourself, rolling into a situation where 2 teams kind of, get out there together and they compete for the love of the game and for the love of competition, and it brings on, coaches being competitive, players being competitive, Therefore, it brings on the media and fans and everybody enjoying the experience of going to watch it. So at the end of the day, these type of games take on a life of its own. I've been in some pretty good football places where rivalries, kind of develop and they naturally develop. I don't think there's anything that can be forced or, manipulated or any of those type of things. I think you talk about anytime you can put two, good football teams together that are going to be competitive, that sometimes everything's on the line for, it naturally builds its own chemistry for being that. So at the end of the day, they're in the MEAC conference. They're another really well coached team, really good football team, year in and year out with consistency at a high level. And that's what we at Howard are starting to build towards and continuing to build towards. And we want to be in games like that. And we want to be in the same vein, and we'll be in the same vein as being mentioned as one of the top teams in this conference that get together and compete. So at the end of the day, yeah, man, it's just another opportunity to go play against a really good football team at home in North Carolina. You're right, Friday night lights, all that kind of stuff, which kids get juiced up about and get excited about. So we'll be excited to go play.
And one final question, I just want to get this correct. Did you say that you guys will be traveling down Thursday or Friday to Durham?
We'll be traveling down Thursday.
Okay. All right. Thanks so much, Coach. Good luck this Friday.
Thank you.
That concludes all of our media questions for Coach Scott at this time. Coach, thank you so much for joining us this morning.
Thank you, guys. Appreciate it. See you next week.
Howard travels to face North Carolina Central on Friday, November 15th at O'Kelly-Riddick Stadium in Durham, North Carolina. Kickoff is set for 8 p.m. broadcasting on ESPNU. Lynn, over to you for our next interview.
Thanks so much, Elise. Our next interview of the morning is with the head coach of the North Carolina Central Eagles, Trey Oliver. I see you there, Coach. How are you today?
I'm well, Lynn. How are you?
I'm doing well. You heard Coach talk about his team and the trip down to play you this coming Saturday. Your team is rested. You enjoyed a great middle of the season bye week. And what did the Eagles focus on during this week off?
The usual, again, trying to get over some of these bumps and bruises, getting ready for finals. And obviously, we had a big election last week. So, that was about it, trying to get a little bit of rest and get some of these guys back and finish up strong academically through the end of the semester.
Okay, well, you got 2 games remaining in conference play. You got to dance with Howard and Delaware State, and you're still in the hunt for the Celebration Bowl. What's the message to the players to keep them focused to finish strong for the season?
We still have football left to play, and we don't worry about anybody else. We just worry about us. So we have a big opportunity this week to play Howard, and that's where all of our focus is. We don't worry about other teams and what's going on with that, and then we can't get too caught up in that. I think when you start focusing on what South Carolina State's doing and what how it's going to play out, you're not focused on the right things and trying to get your team prepared. So our big goal when we came in the beginning of the year, we talked about the Celebration Bowl one time. And after that, it's about postseason play. So what can we do to put ourselves in position to make it a postseason? Obviously, we want the Celebration Bowl, but if not, we still have an opportunity to possibly play in the playoffs.
Okay, let's talk about Howard then. This is a great matchup emotionally. It's developed into an intense rivalry of sorts within the league. Let's talk about what's going to happen on Friday night. 2 great football teams going head to head. They match up well.
Yeah, it's going to be a great matchup. And I think, when you only have 6 teams in the conference, every game is really a rivalry, I guess, to the most part. Our big rivalries are folks in Greensboro, so that's our one. I think the rest of the games in the conference are, very physical, very good, competitive conference games. But Howard's coming in here and offensively, they are explosive. They got some dynamic players, and it starts with Scroggins, their quarterback. He's another dual threat guy, and that's causing some problems. So we got to do a great job of getting pressure on him and keeping him in the pocket. We can't let him break contain. And we had some issues with our pass rush lanes the previous week. So we got to get some stuff cleaned up with that and try to corral him and can't let him beat us with his legs. Then you obviously got the 2-headed monster in the running back in the backfield, Hunter and James. So I think Hunter is an outstanding running back, great back with great vision, powerful, great balance. The first guy rarely brings him down. So we got to do a great job of getting hats to the ball and staying out of one-on-one situations with them. And on the perimeter, they got some really good receivers. They've been there, the older guys, the Hawthorne kid. And defensively, you know, they can walk down and play man to man. They play a whole lot of man, and they got some great cover guys back there in the back end. And it starts with Gallo. So, you know, he's an unbelievable player. Probably leads the conference of tackles and the defensive lineman miles. So they've got some great football players over there, and we got to do a good job of getting a hat on hat and trying to get our run game going.
Okay, Coach, that's it for me. I know Elise has some questions from the media. Best of luck to you this week.
Thank you.
As a reminder to the media, please use the raise hand feature and remain muted until you've been introduced. Our first questions for Coach Oliver come from Nathaniel Henry Jr.
Good morning, Coach. How you doing this morning?
I'm well, Nate. How you doing?
Great, great. Howard University Sports Media. Coach, what are the benefits of playing a game on Friday night under the lights before a national TV audience?
Well, again, anytime I think you can play on national television and show the world, show the country your brand and your university, and then obviously show the conference what type of football the MEAC plays. I think we play a great brand of football, and it's an opportunity to show everybody North Carolina Central University. And obviously it helps with recruits that can't, you know, usually get to games. They can still tune in and watch us play on Friday night.
Yes, sir. Second question. What is your evaluation of Kenny Gallup Jr. and his impact on the game?
He's all over the field. I think I don't know, man. I don't care if you run to the ball to the field, to the boundary, you run draw, throw it deep. He's going to be around the football. And me being a former defensive back, I really enjoy to watch good DB play. And he's a physical young man, great range, and he's active and he causes problems. So we always have to know where he is on the field. He does a good job of disguising coverages as well as bring pressure. So they'll send him on some safety blitzes, and he's very disruptive. But I've got the utmost respect for that kid. I think he's an outstanding football player, and you know, I love to watch him play.
Yes, sir. Appreciate you. Good luck this weekend.
Thanks.
Our next questions for Coach Scott come from Chris Stevens, HBCU Sports.
Good morning, Coach Oliver. How are you?
I'm good, Chris. How are you?
Pretty good. Obviously, you know, coming down the home stretch, there's still a lot of football, important football left to be played. You know, you've played your fair share of veterans and youngins as well. How do you want these younger players, what do you hope to see from them, you know, coming down this back stretch?
They got to understand, you know, we got to finish. And we've grown up so much. We got so many young guys playing. And at the beginning of the year, I know I've aged. It's aged me tremendously. I got a lot more gray hair now, but they've grown up and they're starting to understand the pace of play and the sense of urgency that's needed to be successful on the college level. But, you know, obviously, you know, our old heads got to lead our guys. And you're playing in conference play. All the games are going to be tough, physical games. We have to control our emotions, and I think that's what the older guys can help do with that. You know, don't make it any bigger what it is. It's a football game. But finishing up, the big thing is, you know, our playmakers have to make plays. I don't care if you're a freshman or a senior. So our guys have to make plays. Our good guys have to play really well. So it's like I said, the big thing is it's good to see these guys grow up. Now we ought to just finish the season and take one game at a time and just play hard these last two.
And that was going to be my next question. Have you discussed anything beyond the regular season, or is it just, you know, one game at a time?
No. It's always one game at a time. We don't worry about the next game or anything like that. Our focus is strictly on Howard University. We don't watch any other film on anybody else. And like I said 2 weeks back, we don't do all the analytics and try to figure out championship scenarios and all that stuff. Just win the next one and let the chips fall where they may.
All right, Coach, thanks for your time as always. Best of luck this weekend.
Thanks, Chris.
Our next questions for Coach Oliver come from Daryl Duvall.
Good morning. Good morning,
Good morning,
Coach. How you doing this day? How you doing?
I'm well. How are you?
I'm doing fine. This is Daryl Duvall with Powering You Sports. Hey, I just want to kind of go back. You had talked about a couple of weeks ago, and this is going to be senior night. You're going to lose several seniors, and you do a lot of basically building talent out of high school level kids. And the question is, going back to the transfer portal, is that something that you're going to be considering more, using more transfer players? Are you just basically, hey, I want to build these players from high school on up? You know,
initially my formula was, you know, taking high school student athletes, young men, and and developing them. I wasn't a big transfer portal guy. It's still very fluid, and I can't be stubborn and say I'm not going to take a transfer. I'm not going to take a transfer. We will look into recruiting some transfers, but at the same time, it's guys got to fit our culture, and guys that generally for me, if we do mess with transfers, guys that we had a relationship with, guys that we recruit out of high school might have gone to a different program, or we have a really good relationship with their coach. We got to know something about them. I just don't go in the transfer portal and just because they have a guy from this P5 school think that he's going to fit here or can play here. There's a lot of guys that play on that P5 level that transfer and can't play in this conference. So, I don't get all excited just because the guy's a transfer. We're looking for the best players and the best young men that fit into our program. And, we've been successful with high school student athletes. You look at our top guys on the team, and they're high school players. Jamari Taylor, Walker Harris, Cole Jones, all those guys, were high school student recruit out of high school.
Yeah, I see that, and I mean, because you use a lot of your players in your backyard, and so and again, that is correct. When you do dealing with a transfer player, you also have to know if this person is going to work with your system, if he's just going to be. And you most coaches probably don't even look at that. They look at a D1 player. He wants to go down to SWAC or MEAC or whatever, and they say, "Oh, I'm gonna get this guy. Can he?" But then you got to look at can he incorporate it? Can you incorporate this player in your system? And so, yes. But I just want to say good luck this Friday Night Lights, and we look forward to seeing. Look forward to you. Basically, look forward to Friday Night Lights. So I'm in Texas. I don't think we have any games this Friday. So
I'm sure some pretty good high school football going to be on there this Friday.
Yeah, yeah, it's playoff time.
Our next questions for Coach Oliver come from Dwayne Nash.
Good morning, Coach. How you doing?
I'm well, Dwayne. How are you?
I'm doing pretty good. Wow, sorry. Just lost my train of thought there just for a moment. Yeah, I really did just lose my train of thought. That's embarrassing. Nathaniel actually touched on my question a little bit earlier, and I kind of wanted to follow up on it. Outside of the exposure, and I do understand that you do have that you did have a bye in between these two matchups, but what are the other benefits of playing on a short televised week, and are there any detriments to playing on a shortened week?
You kind of play the schedule how it plays out. We're supposed to play in Norfolk State this past week. We moved that game early to the year to play in the Classic. So we had a bye week late, but we ran off I think 6 straight early. So we were definitely in need of a bye week. As far as it being a day shorter, you just kind of speed up everything a little bit with the week, the schedule. So we move everything up a day. The guys will get a day off on Saturday as opposed to their traditional Monday off. But, the guys understand the schedule and we don't, we play the schedule as given to us. So it's nothing different as far as our preparation. Nothing changes with that. Last week we played on a Thursday coming off a Saturday game. So, you do what you got to do to get the guys prepared, but, nothing really changes as far as preparation.
All right. Thanks for being patient with me, Coach, and good luck this week.
Appreciate it.
That concludes all of our media questions for Coach Oliver at this time. Coach, thank you so much for joining us this morning.
Thank you.
North Carolina Central hosts Howard on Friday, November 15th at O'Kelly Riddick Stadium in Durham, North Carolina. Kickoff is set for 8 p.m., airing on ESPNU. Lynn, over to you for our next interview.
Thanks so much, Elise. Coming up next, head coach of the Delaware State Hornets, Coach Lee Hall. The Hornets had a good one. You faced a very good Morgan State football team in what we call a MEAC shootout. You come up on the short end of a 36-28 score. Talk about last week's exciting football game.
Yeah, it was an exciting game for if you're a fan and you were at the game, and if you're from Morgan State. But it was an exciting game. I thought both teams were well prepared. Both teams played a great game. got a lot of respect for Coach Wilson and the job that he does over there, at Morgan. And we know it's going to be a 60-minute deal. That was our big thing all week is commit to execute for 60 minutes. That was our biggest thing. And I think they did. They played for 60 minutes. It was a couple of things, before the first half, we miskicked the punt, gave them a short field. They got a field goal out of it, and they went in up 24-21 with, and then, it was the last 6 minutes of the game, we had the ball. We got two penalties, didn't snap the ball on two penalties that put us behind. So, we had the punt, then we stopped them, and then we end up muffing the punt, which, and they got the ball back. But, on video, when you look at it, we recovered it, but that's the whole thing is, when the whistle was blown and they pulled the guys out of the pile, Morgan came up with the ball, we came up on the short end. But if you look at the film, we did recover it. They went down and scored. So kind of put the game, a little out of reach for us. So, I'm proud of our young team that we have. They played really well. And I thought they executed really well. Again, it just comes down to a few plays here and there. Special teams. We got to show up on special teams. That kind of what hurt us. So we got to find a way to make sure that those things don't happen at the wrong time.
Let's talk about the second quarter, scoring 21 points, full within 3 at the half. I mean, what an adjustment. And you guys just exploded. Let's talk about what type of adjustments were made.
Yeah, we thought they were going to come out and play a lot of one high, coverage for us. They end up playing more two high. So, we had to make some adjustments. And then, we were trying to fill them out. They didn't blitz as much as we thought they were going to blitz. So they did some different things. So we had to try to go and make some adjustments. We wanted to run the ball. That was our game plan coming in to ride number one. But we saw some opportunities where we were able to mix it up and throw the ball a little bit more than what we anticipated. Our quarterback, CJ, Henry did a great job. He was like 21 for 24, something like that. So he was actually completing the ball, making great decisions. So that's why we end up, throwing the ball a little bit more, and that kind of helped us in the run game. Jaden is Sutton is a great running back, and he broke off a 60-yarder. So at any minute, he can break one. So again, there was just a little bit adjustments that we were. The first quarter we had to fill them out and find out exactly what their MO was going to be.
Okay, Coach, you hit the road to face another good MEAC team, Norfolk State, this weekend. What are you expecting from the Spartans? That's my final question.
Yeah, same thing. They're a good football team. They beat Howard, which is a good football team. Had a chance to beat Morgan. Went down to 1-point game, went into overtime. So again, it's going to be a 60-minute game. They're capable of scoring points on offense. Their quarterback, kind of makes them go. They got good running backs, got some big tight ends. And a big offensive line. So, we got to contain them on that. And then defensively, they run around, they fly around, and they hit. They're big up front. So it's going to be another physical game. Got a lot of respect too for Coach Odom. He does a great job. Everywhere he's been. I know that they'll have those guys prepared. And if you look at all the last couple of games they played for 60 minutes. They're going to play hard. So we're going to have to try to match that intensity that we know is going to come.
Okay, Coach. All the best this weekend against the Spartans. So hold on, Elise, it's on you.
Thank you, Lynn. As a reminder to the media, please use the raise hand feature and remain muted until you're introduced. Our first questions for Coach Hall come from Chris Stevens, HBCU Sports.
Good morning, Coach. How are you?
Good morning. How you doing, Chris?
Pretty good. I have to ask, because I watched that game, and did the referees give you any kind of explanation as to what happened on that muffed punt at all? And then why? And number two, why did they choose not to review it?
I have no idea. That's what we were saying. They actually did review it. They reviewed it and they came back and said that it was Morgan's ball. They reviewed it. So, then we also had the inadvertent whistle when we had the fumble, too, in the first half. So they reviewed it and they said they recovered it. I don't know what else to say.
Wow. Okay, we'll try to move on from that. Obviously, Jaden is having under the radar one of the better years of anybody in this conference. Just what do you make of a young man who just shows up week in and week out and gives you the big play ability out of the backfield like he does?
It's great to have somebody that, is a workhorse that, you can depend on, that's going to come to work every day. And he practices like that too. So that's the big thing too, is, and this time and age, we're trying to get our whole team to practice like him so they can perform like him on Saturday. But it's good to know that we got he's an older guy, he's a grad, transfer. So he played for 4 years, at a different school in Lafayette. So, he came in, so he's an older guy with a lot of experience. Great to have a guy like that. Like I said, it's dependable. You don't have to take him out. He's an every down back. He can play, he protects, he can catch the ball in the backfield. So he can do everything you need. So it's great to know that you have that guy, to depend on.
And last question, CJ, he's been, part of, this program for a while, and he's been able to, step in and fill in the gaps as needed. Just talk about just seeing him being able to, be as efficient as he was on Saturday and how that will hopefully help you coming down the stretch.
You said CJ? Because you broke up a little bit. CJ. Yeah.
I was going to say, just talk about how it was good to see him throw the ball with such efficiency and how you hope that helps you coming down the stretch.
Yeah. So it was great. He was very productive and he was efficient. He did a good job of managing the offense. Again, when you have a guy like Jaden in the backfield, to run the ball, that's what I tell him is that, we're looking for completions. We want to complete 70% or better, which he did. If things break down, run, throw the ball away, just don't turn the football over. So to have somebody with some playing time and some experience like that is good because he managed the game, and that's all we really need to do. If you don't turn the ball over, you got a chance, in this league. Because if you turn the ball over, you're probably going to get beat. So it's great to have a veteran guy like CJ, to depend on at this point when we got a young football team.
All right, Coach, thanks for your time as always. Best of luck this weekend.
Yeah, thank you.
Our next questions for Coach Hall come from Andy Walter.
Hey, Coach, how are you?
Good. How you doing, Andy?
All right. Hey, obviously offensively, that was your best showing in a few weeks. What did you like about it overall? And is this things you can work on to keep that thing going this week too?
Yeah, they competed for 60 minutes. Commit to compete for 60 minutes plus. That was kind of our motto, and I thought they did that. Execute. The biggest thing is that we were talking about win the turnover battle. So we had one turnover, they had one turnover. So that was kind of even there. And then win the explosive battle, which was another big thing. They had 9 explosives, we had 8 explosives. So it's kind of even there. So we got to work on special teams. We got to sew some things up on our special teams because we did give up a couple big runs on kickoff. Their return game did a really good job. And then at crucial times, we can't. Nate's a great. Our punter is great, but he had one bad punt and came at the wrong time. And then, like you said, we talked about muffing the punt. We can't do that at the end of the game. So I think we're going in the right direction because you can see our guys got a lot of heart, and you can win some games and be in games if you guys play hard. They're executing better. They're a young team. We got to go through these big hurdles that we're doing right now. We're going to be better for it in the end. So.
Yeah, with a couple games left, it sounds like they're really in there, still motivated, still, fighting to try to get a win. What would a win, either with this week or next week do for them going into the off season?
I mean, it's we got to find a way to win one of these games because that'll be huge going into the off season. Just because we're a young football team, they're all coming back. They're getting a lot of experience, but they need that confidence. So hopefully we can do that and get a win here in one of these two games here.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Our next questions for Coach Hall come from Luke Williams.
Hey, Coach. But good morning. Based on
Good
your
morning.
time in the NFL, is Jaden Sutton a next level player? What kind of 40 time does he have?
Yeah, Jaden definitely can play at the next level. As you see, he's pretty fast. He's probably, he's going to run in the 4.5s, maybe high 4.4s. He's very explosive. Once he can accelerate. He runs with great pad level. So he has a chance. Is he NFL? There's a lot of great running backs out there. But there's some pro leagues that are going on now that he definitely can play in. So he definitely is a next level guy because there's not too many 6'1", 225-pound guys that are going to run 4.5 or lower and catch the ball and protect. So he'll definitely get a shot and get some looks.
What about how did you recruit him to come? What was his path of getting to Delaware State from Lafayette?
Yeah, he was my son's roommate in college.
Oh,
So so I've known him for 4 years before he came here. He was his roommate. So we had a prior relationship, and he wanted to change. He called me, asked me would I take him, and I said yeah. So that's kind of the recruitment. Just having that prior relationship with him. With my son, he knew my son was coming here to play for me. So he came along, he tagged along with him. So I'm glad he did.
Okay, Coach. That's all I got. Thanks.
Thanks.
That concludes all of our media questions at this time for Coach Hall. Thank you so much for joining us this morning.
Thank you.
Delaware State travels to Norfolk State on Saturday, November 16th at William Dick Price Stadium in Norfolk, Virginia. Kickoff is set for 2 p.m., airing on ESPN+. Lynn, back over to you for our next interview.
All right. Thank you so much, Elise. Coming up next, head coach of the Norfolk State University Spartans, Dawson Odoms. How you doing today, Coach Odom?
Doing great. How you doing, Ms. Thomas?
I'm doing good. Coach, your team had a late season bye this past weekend. Talk about what the Spartans focused on during these past 7 days.
Well, just got back to some fundamentals. Got a lot of guys, some red shirt guys, some work. Just really wanted to see what those guys look like going into the last couple of games of the season. Really focus on getting them a chance to go through some team stuff, some special team stuff, and just getting a chance for them to put some film on there. Really just working on the fundamentals and looking at some guys that we got redshirted.
Okay, all right. Now, as you prepare for the final 2 games remaining on your schedule, Del State and South Carolina State, what would it take for the Spartans to close it out 2-0?
Well, the biggest thing is we got to play for 60 minutes in all 3 phases. When you look at the games that we've dropped, we've had bad play here or there that allow team momentum, and just addressing that in the bye week is just understanding that we're a good football team. We just got to play well in all 3 phases and not have a lull in the second and third quarter. But the biggest thing is execute. I think when you look at our football team, when we do it consistently, we're a pretty good football team. We have those lulls in the football game. Things just happen and they start to snowball from there and just finishing. We've been in some close football games. That's a good thing. Now that ball got to bounce our way, but you got to make that ball bounce your way.
Coach, you're going to host the Hornets this weekend in an emotional football game. It's going to be senior day. That's enough to cause a lot of focus. How will you prepare your team? And let's talk about this matchup. And what will you do for your team to get them ready on this emotional day to play a very explosive and a team rounding in great shape, the Hornets?
Well, they do an outstanding job. Coach Hull has that football team going in the right direction down the stretch, and they played really well this last time out. Again, a lot of these teams we're the same. A play here and there, and that ball can go the other way. They had the ball, had a good stop there on third down, got it back late in the football game, had the fumble recovery on the return team, and Morgan was able to score. But it was a back and forth football game where they played extremely well. Offensively, Henry did an outstanding job of coming in, and he threw the ball with precision. And then you got Sutton, who's I think one of the better runners in the conference, and you got your hands cut out for you from an offensive standpoint. They had receivers stretching the field. They played really, really well, and on defense, they played extremely hard. You look at it, and they're similar to the rest of the teams in this conference. Every week is going to be a challenge, and you have to decide mentally how you're going to accept that challenge. And it's senior day, and we're looking forward to sending our seniors out on the right foot.
Good, Coach, and we wish you all the best on senior day in Norfolk. Hold on for Elise and the rest of the questions.
Thank you.
Thank you, Lynn. As a reminder to the media, please use the raise hand feature and remain muted until you're introduced. Our first questions for Coach Odoms come from Chris Stevens, HBCU Sports.
Good morning, Coach Odoms. How are you?
Doing great. How you doing, Mr. Stevens?
Pretty good. Obviously, coming down this back stretch, the last two games, you're going to be not only, saying goodbye to your seniors, but you're going to be evaluating kids for 2025. What do you hope to see from your younger players and your returners, coming down these last two games, that'll carry them over into next season?
Well, just to continue growth in the development process, mentally and physically, where we are and what we've been able to accomplish, and how can we finish out the season. And that's the biggest thing, is that you want to come and prepare yourself and mentally get yourself ready to go, just like you've been doing all season. And the one thing I can say about this group of guys, no matter what, they come to work. And that's a testament to where we are in our program, is that we done had some difficult losses and some really challenging losses, but every week to see how these guys come back and they refocus and get themselves ready to play, especially after that emotional loss we had against Morgan. The bye week probably was at the right time, able to get that out their system. Now they're ready to come and finish off the season. And I'm looking forward to seeing them and having a team meeting today and just seeing where we are, looking them in the eyes and setting the tone for this week and the remainder of the season.
You mentioned that Delaware State plays hard on defense, and then Jaden Sutton is their lead guy on offense. What else do you see in that team that you feel like your guys are going to have to be extra prepared for this coming Saturday?
Well, the quarterback play, I thought he played really well. Offensive line, they gave Sutton some holes to run through, and it's going to be a challenge. Defensively, they just challenge you they just keep coming. They keep coming. They get lined up. And when they know where they're going, they can be a test to anybody. They get lined up and execute. And that's the thing. You see that it's a lot of young guys on defense. So every now and then you may have a breakdown, but that's not a lack of talent. That's just experience. But those guys play well together and they play hard. And that's the biggest thing you see when you see Coach Hull's football team.
Thanks very much for your time as always, Coach. Best of luck this weekend.
Thank you.
That is all of our media questions at this time for Coach Odoms. Thank you so much for joining us this morning.
It's a pleasure. Behold, the green and gold.
Norfolk State hosts Delaware State on Saturday, November 16th at William Dick Price Stadium in Norfolk, Virginia. Kickoff is set for 2 p.m., airing on ESPN+. Lynn, back over to you for our next interview.
Thanks so much, Elise. Up next, and with us now is the head coach of the South Carolina State University Bulldogs. Good morning to you, Coach Chennis Berry. How are you today?
Good morning. How you doing today, man?
Doing good, man. Doing good. And your team seems to be doing well as always. You're on a 6-game winning streak after the 38-14 victory over Howard. Talk about the Bulldogs' performance this past Saturday.
Well, first and foremost, to God be the glory, man. Found a way to win another football game, man. It's tough to win, man. And we went up to Washington, D.C., and traveled up there, man, and we're 1-0 on our mind. We played against a good football team, Howard University. We knew they were the defending MEAC champions, so they weren't going to give it to us. We were going to have to go up there and take it. And I thought our guys, played really, really well. I thought they were locked in. They were focused the whole entire time. They understood the mission. And, it starts with how our defense played, man. Our defense, I thought, played really, really well. And to limit that team to, some of the things that they did in terms of stopping them from running the football. So if you have a chance to play good defense, you give yourself an opportunity to win football games. So very, very proud of our football team, our coaching staff. I thought we did a good job putting good plans together. We found a way to go 1-0.
Hey, Coach, your defense played a big game of takeaway. A lot of turnovers they created, interceptions and fumble recoveries. You alluded to it, but let's dive down into it a little bit. Talk about what the defense did to dictate the tempo and the style of play of that game.
Well, first and foremost, I'm super proud of our defensive staff coming up with a good plan against a really good Howard University offense. I mean, when we look at their offense, they were explosive. I mean, they have been leading the league in rushing, and they, that's always a challenge to stopping teams from running football, especially when you have a quarterback that can run it as well. So, but I thought our defensive staff, led by Coach O'Dowd from my DC, and our entire defensive staff came up with great plans to slow that team down. And then, it always starts with the big guys up front. And we play multiple guys up front, and I thought they did a really good job of stopping the run. And our secondary linebackers, man, they did a great job on the second and third level. And we created what we call takeaways. You have to have an aggressive mindset on defense. And I thought our defense was able to create some takeaways and put our offense in position to be successful.
Coach, final question for me. The Bulldogs are on the road again this weekend, headed up to Baltimore to face Morgan State, this time in the driver's seat, and a game up on the rest of the league as you now control your destiny in the road to the MEAC crown and to get the Celebration Bowl bid. Talk about the importance of this big matchup.
Well, it's a big game because it's the next game for us. I mean, we always talk about the process around here. We really never talk about the outcome. We really don't. Well, it's process over outcome, and we always talk about that. And we know that we're going to play against a good football team with Morgan State. Man, David Wilson, that's my guy, another friend of mine that I know he's going to have his team ready to play, no question about it. And we've already kind of started watching them and coming up with plans, and they'll be ready to play, man. They're playing some really good ball at this point, and they're doing some good things offensively, defensively, and special teams. And that's another opponent we have to go play that are going to be sound, and they're going to be well coached, and they're going to be physical. When you look at film, you want to see, when you watch film and see a team that's physical. Morgan State University is a physical football team and a well coached football team. And I know Coach Wilson will have his guys ready to play, but it's my job as the head football coach here at South Carolina State to make sure our guys are ready to rock and roll, and we'll be ready to go when we head up to Baltimore this upcoming Friday.
Okay, Coach, thank you so much. Hold on just for a minute. All the best this weekend. Elise?
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Lynn. As a reminder to the media, please use the raise hand feature and remain muted until you've been introduced. Our first questions for Coach Barry come from Luke Williams.
Congratulations, Coach, on your win, and good morning.
Thank you so much. Good morning to you as well.
Coach, you have the leading passer in the conference. You have the 3 leading receivers in the conference. You got the 2 leading sack men in the conference, Ashad Hall as well as Broughton. I got a couple of questions for you. First, how many guys, and out of that group, when you start talking about Caden High and Eric Phoenix and these guys, how many exactly did you bring with you that played for you at Benedict before coming to South Carolina State?
Well, it's 14 total that came over here. There's probably 10 or 11 of them that play regularly. There's another 3 that doesn't play as much, but when we brought those guys over here, they were good football players where they were. I mean, my thing is, you want to have guys that fit the culture and they understand how we do things, and they're really good football players. I mean, I don't look at them like Division I, Division II, whatever. They're just good football players, and they all love football. A lot of times when we go recruit, we look at these size and these intangibles and things of this nature, but I look for guys that love football, and these young men love football, and they're making an impact on our program over here at South Carolina State.
And that's very obvious, Coach, and I certainly kudos to you for that. But talk about your recruiting them to Benedict. Did most of these guys get overlooked? Did they not have opportunities to play at quote unquote a higher level? How did you convince them to come to Benedict and then to come with you to South Carolina State?
Well, the one that was there already out of the 14 that came over, Eric Phoenix was there. He was a freshman. He came from Savannah, so he was already there. So I kind of inherited Phoenix, but the rest of them we bought in. And we kudos to my staff. We recruited the right guys. Although we were Division II, we recruited Division I players in our mind. And we had a lot of success with those guys over there. And really, the guys that came over here, really, it was kind of an unwritten law. I really didn't ask any of them to come, honestly. When I decided to come over here to South Carolina State, it was just kind of a deal where they were like, Coach, man, we want to be with you and stay on this journey with you. And I knew that they fit because there was several other ones wanted to come as well, but the other ones didn't fit the culture and what we were trying to build here. So we were able to bring those guys over, and they're doing an amazing job. It's not just what you see on the football field with those guys. Those guys understand the culture, what we're about in the weight room, in the classroom, in study hall, how we handle ourselves, how we travel. These are good football players, but they're good people. And for me, it's about the right fit and the right culture of young men, especially when you're building and establishing culture and building a brand of your program. And again, there was some good ball players already here. Coach Pugh left some good ball players here that are really set the foundation for where we already have an Aaron Smith, a Nick Tace, a Eric Brown, a Cam Johnson. Those guys were already here, and they understood to be able to mix it all together. Like I say, man, it's only the month 11 of us putting this thing together, but it started with having the right foundation. But when you bring guys in, it's got to be the right fit of guys.
So would it be safe to say that none of that success of the Phoenix and the Highs and the Broughtons is a surprise to you? And what does that say about the difference between so-called Division II and FCS?
Oh, well, the success that they're having is not a surprise at all. I mean, I knew this coming in day one. I mean, it's just really it's never really about what the outside people think. I knew they were really good football players, and they were very productive where they were. For me, it's about, regardless of what level you're on, you have to have the right guys that fit your culture and what you're about. And honestly, that's really how we recruit. Recruiting to us is about relationships. We want to find out, what kind of guy you are. And we go to these high schools, every head coach is going to sell their guy, but we want to do the homework and find out the true culture. Do they really love football? And these guys that we brought over here, these guys really love the game. I mean, they practice. If you ever watch Caden High practice, there's never a walkthrough for him. Everything he does is full speed. He loves football. Jaden Broughton, all those guys, are the right fit of the young men that we brought over here to South Carolina State.
And then the last question, Coach, if you brought 14 of them in, how much recruiting were you able to do in terms of bringing other guys in, guys out of high school or transfers of that kind?
Well, when you look at our team, it's 40 newcomers. There were 40 newcomers, and there was 32 transfers, whether it was the 14 from Benedict or a couple guys came from other places, and then there was 8 high school guys. So all in all, just whether they're newcomers as walk-ons, they're not all scholarship guys. Whether they're newcomers as walk-ons or newcomers as just guys that's in our program that were not here in 2023 season. We signed 8 really good high school guys, and then just some different guys that brought in to fit our culture. So they're doing a good job. Not all of them are playing. Some of them are. Most of them are. But it had to be the right fit of guys to come over here with us as we're building this brand.
And finally, can you talk about Elijah Williams with Morgan State? Have you seen enough of him to talk about the kind of player he is?
He's a guy. He's a guy that you make sure you have to have a plan for. And they do a good job of moving him around. He'll play the nose. He'll play the 3. He'll play the 5. He do a lot of different. But he's a really good football player, and I have nothing but respect for him. We'll have to have a plan to be able to block him. He plays hard. He seems like an amazing young man. I got a chance to meet him this summer. And I like good people, man, people that love for the game and is good to the game. And usually when you're good to the game will be good back to you, man. And he seems to be one of those kind of guys. So really, really a good football player with Elijah Williams.
Okay, Coach, good luck. No opportunity wasted. Go 1-0.
Let's get it. 1-0. Let's get it.
Our next questions for Coach Barry come from Chris Stevens, HBCU Sports.
Good morning, Coach. How are you?
Good morning, Chris. How you doing today, man?
Pretty good. Of course, you just mentioned now that, you have a nice balance of, guys that returning and guys that you brought in. And I felt like that was very well illustrated, with the interceptions that you guys had. Quantre Harry was a veteran of this program, had 2 picks. a Jared Washington who came with you from Benedict, had the pick six that pretty much put the game away. Just obviously, football is a game where it is literally a team game. You need 50 to 100 guys to be successful. Just talk about how these guys have all just kind of like meshed together to put together such a successful season for you so far.
It's just opportunities here. We'll give a young man an opportunity. Luke just talked about that. No opportunity wasted. Man, listen, guys, we give guys chances. And when you give you an opportunity, what do you do with the opportunity? And there's no opportunity wasted. And these guys like Quantre Harry, he was our team. We voted on him as Defensive Player of the Week. He's a guy that was given an opportunity, and he took advantage of this opportunity. That's what we always talk around here. Gerard Washington, all right, which is a guy we bought over from the last institution at Benedict. We would give him an opportunity, and he's a heck of a football player. And they're just taking advantage of their chances. And like you say, it's a team sport, offense, defense, special teams, and it's a team acronym. We go by it together. Everyone achieves more. It's not about one side of the ball. You'll never hear us talk about, one side of the ball. It's about the team. We win together, we lose together. At the end of the day, we found a way to go 1-0. And these guys have bought into the process. You probably ask these guys, what's our record? They probably don't even know. They just say, Coach, we're just trying to go 1-0 today, man. That's all we're trying to do. So they're bought into it, the philosophy, what we're all about. And we're just trying to take it one game at a time. And the next team on our list, we try to go 1-0 against is Morgan State University.
Speaking of, they come in with a really hot hand, especially on the offensive side of the ball the last couple of weeks. Just how, obviously, we already know about how great their defense is, but now their offense has sort of seemed to caught up to that. How do you guys plan to prepare for that plan of attack?
You're exactly right. They're playing some really good ball, man. They really are. And it's about playing good ball at the right time. It's November. So in November, you want to be clicking, and they're clicking really, really well. They play two quarterbacks, two young men. The young man, Deuce Taylor, he played most of the last game, but he and young man Todd Smith 0. So 11-0. Got to prepare for both of those guys. They got a running back that can dot the I and cross the T. I think he's number 2, Collins, I believe that's his name. But they got a couple of receivers that can stretch the field vertically as well. So we'll have our hands full. Our defensive staff, I'm sure they're in there now in the lab trying to prepare a plan. We'll slow those guys down. But you're right, they're playing some really good football. Coach Wilson, man, I got nothing but respect for that guy. That guy got championship pedigree, so he know how to coach a football team. So there's nothing but respect. So we'll be preparing for a well-coached football team that's going to be physical, that's going to play hard. We got to make sure our young men are ready to go when we go up to Baltimore, Maryland.
Last question. I did watch Saturday's game. I saw DeAndre went out after one carry, didn't come back. Is there an update on him? And are you prepared to, switch things around the backfield if he's not able to go on Saturday?
But a good thing for us is we play multiple guys anyway. So, we're waiting on the injury report back today, waiting on to get a report from the trainer. So, but he's in good spirits. I talked to him this morning. Always chop it up with my guys, man. And if he's ready to go, he'll be ready to go. But we really don't know his status right now. But he's a tough kid. He's another guy that just goes hard. Man. He's just a football player that loves the game. But we'll find out what his injury status is right now. At this point of the year, man, it's week 12 for us, man. Week 12, what I mean in terms of we had 2 bye weeks, but it's game 10, man. Everybody in America hurt right now, man. Everybody banged up, man. So it's either you're hurt or you're injured, man. If you're injured, you can't go. But if you're hurt, let's bite down on your mouthpiece and buckle up your chin strap and let's get ready to go.
All right, Coach, thanks very much for your time as always. Best of luck this weekend.
Thank you so much, man. Have a great day.
That concludes all of our media questions for Coach Berry at this time. Coach, thank you so much for joining us this morning.
Thank you so much. Have a great day. Take care. Go Dogs.
South Carolina State travels to face Morgan State on Saturday, November 16th at Hughes Stadium in Baltimore, Maryland. Kickoff is set for 4 p.m., broadcasting on ESPN+. Lynn, back over to you for our next interview.
Thanks so much, Elise. Our final interview of the day happens to be with the head coach of the Morgan State University Bears, Coach Damon Wilson. How are you this morning, Coach Wilson?
Lynn, I'm doing pretty good, brother. How about yourself?
Man, I know you're looking good, Coach. Your team picked up another win, a back-and-forth shootout with Delaware State this past Saturday. Let's talk about this game and the Bears' performance. You held on and won it in the end.
Yeah, I mean, anytime you get a win, it's good. But we didn't play our best ball. But Delaware State is a good football team. That dog on number 1, man, he's an explosive big back, that's for sure. Quarterback didn't have a great game against passing the ball against Howard, but he came in and opened up the field against us a little bit. So they had some guys, man, that really competed at a high level. It was a back and forth game. Both teams had some explosive plays. We definitely gave up more explosives than we had in the past, but fortunate enough, we were able to make some plays offensively to overcome, some of the things that they were doing. And our special teams unit played pretty well.
Yeah, coach. And now you sit 2-1 in the MEAC standings and in a strong position to stake a claim this coming Saturday. You heard Coach Berry, and now the path to the conference title race kind of goes through Baltimore this Saturday. How are you conveying that message in your locker room?
I mean, it shouldn't take a lot for me to understand or for me to get the guys going. We're playing against South Carolina State team that I think's won 6 or 7 games in a row. Coach Berry, championship coach from Benedict, guy I've known over the years, a great guy, great coach, and he's gonna have his guys ready. So it's not a whole lot of prep talk or that I have to give these guys. They understand the challenge ahead. We're playing against a very, very good football team that plays well in all 3 phases. We must tighten up some things here on our end to give ourselves a chance to win the ball game.
Okay, coach, and let's dive down into that a little bit because offensively, the last 2 weeks, you've seemed to find a way to put some points on the board. Now, that matched up with the league's best defense, according to the numbers. Now you're going to put some pressure on the opposition. So let's talk about the matchup and how you feel the Bears match up with the Dogs.
Well, like you said, South Carolina State came off the Howard game with a number of turnovers, creating turnovers, something that we must, we got to protect the ball offensively. Their offense, man, they have some explosive guys. They got 3 receivers that can run past you. They got a good running back. The O-line is physical. I mean, like I said, we're going to have to play sound football, and we're going to take care of the football offensively, score in the red zone, play sound special teams. We're going to play a complete game. We haven't done that as of yet. But as you mentioned, we've been able to score some points these last few weeks. So we're excited about that. But we understand we have a different challenge ahead of us this week. But we have to focus on Morgan State and what we need to do to be successful, more so than who's coming in here this week.
Okay, wishing you the best this weekend. Elise has some questions from the media. Elise?
Thank you.
Yes, sir. Thank you, Lynn. As a reminder to the media, please use the raise hand feature and remain muted until you've been introduced. Our first questions for Coach Wilson come from Carl Lute Williams.
Thanks, Elise. Good morning, Coach. How you doing?
Oh, I'm doing good, brother. How about yourself?
Doing fine, man. Doing fine. I want to talk a little bit about Jason Collins, Jr. It looks like you got him out of Roosevelt High School.
He's a DC guy.
Yeah. Your SID warned me about him in the North Carolina Central game. He was like, Leonard said, this is the guy. You got to watch him. He played well against Central, but I see he broke out this week. Talk a little bit about his skill level and what he's meant for your offense.
He's a special kid. He's a kid that we recruited as a receiver. Even though he played some receiver and running back in high school, we redshirted him last year. And now he's finding his own. He's coming into his own with regard to the offense. Working on his maturity with regards to understanding the scheme, understanding blocking scheme, understanding reads and protections. We have a long way to go with him, but when he gets the ball in his hands, he's a special football player, and that's something he's been doing for a long time. As a youth Pop Warner guy, he's a special football player, so he's continued to get better over time.
Wait a minute. You mean you've been on him since he was in
I'm a DC guy. I'm a DC guy, so I keep my ear to the ground a little bit.
I got you.
He's a young man that's been been a guy everywhere he's been, and like I said, he's just a redshirt freshman for us. So I think his best football is still ahead of him, but he's doing a great job thus far.
Yeah, well, kudos to you. Obviously, that DC connection has paid off, and good luck this week, Coach.
Hey, appreciate it. Thanks a lot.
Our next questions for Coach Wilson come from Dwayne Nash.
Morning, Coach. Dwayne Nash from the Yard NCCU Sports and Hero Sports. How are you this morning?
I'm good, Dwayne. How about yourself?
I'm doing all right. To kind of follow back on what Luke just asked about, it's always great to hear about a DC public school guy doing well on the next level. Even though he did go to Roosevelt, I'm not even going to get into that rivalry right now with me being a Wilson guy. But over the last 2 weeks, you guys have, of course, won those last two games. Unfortunately, you kind of touched on it with your conversation with Lynn. There's some things you need to clean up, and particularly is probably your defense, because uncharacteristically your defense has given up 21 points in the first or more in the first half. What do you need to address as it pertains to your defense, especially with South Carolina State coming up to Baltimore this weekend?
More so eye discipline, being where you're supposed to be, whether it's a coverage deal, whether it's run fits, that sort of thing, tightening up in those areas, not getting bored doing the little things. We've had a number of injuries throughout the year, so some different guys playing, but, we don't make excuses. Next man up. It's your responsibility, your obligation to know your assignment. And that's something that we're going to hold these guys accountable for. And the good thing about it, we're able to correct these mistakes after a win, and we understand everything is not going to be a holding teams to 3 or holding teams to 7. These guys on scholarship, these guys are coached up well. These guys are coached up also. So, sometimes the game's going to be, a 30 to 31 ball game or whatever it may be. We just want to have one more point than the other team.
And speaking of, can you explain your team's offensive output over the past 2 weeks? My guess is that you probably would have liked to have seen it earlier this season, but for it to come at this point, it seems to be rather timely, being that you're going up against conference opponents.
Man, it's a process, and if you looked at our game film from day one, we have not started the same offensive line in back-to-back weeks. This is the first time, and actually we didn't start the same line this week. Our center didn't play on Saturday that started last Saturday, so we have not had the same 5 guys up front. We also had some other guys around in the offense just trying to find their way. And it's part of this whole process. But the good thing about it, we're getting things going in the right direction at the right time, giving ourselves an opportunity to be successful. Our quarterback play is still not where we wanted to be, but the guys are getting better. We've had success with 2 guys right now, and that's what we want to continue to build on, that to continue to get better.
And speaking of your offensive line coach, this is my last question. You speaking of the continuity or the inconsistency that you've had throughout the year. Will you have that continuity going up against that South Carolina State front coming up this weekend?
I'll find out when I get the injury report this evening. We'll hit the field we don't hit the field till tomorrow morning. One thing I can promise you, it will be 5 guys lined up out there. Which 5, I don't know.
I had the feeling that was going to be your answer, Coach. Thanks so much and good luck this week.
You got it.
Our next questions for Coach Wilson come from Chris Stevens, HBCU Sports.
Good morning, Coach Wilson. How are you?
I'm doing good, Chris. How about yourself?
Pretty good. You want to be playing your best ball around this time of year, and it doesn't get any more hotter for you guys than South Carolina State coming into town this weekend. Just talk about how proud you are of this team. Fighting through the injury bug, as you said, the inconsistency to be still in the fight. Coming into this game.
I mean, that's what you want. You want to have a chance. And as long as you keep focusing on the day and keep trying to win the day, and you'll have a chance. And we want to be talked about in November. I tell the guys all the time, it's not about the preseason talk in July and August. You want to be playing relevant or playing good football in November, and we have a chance to do that. So that's good. We're heading in the right direction. The first time in quite a while that you're talking about Morgan State football in November, for back-to-back years, which is good. Now we have to continue to push our foot on the gas and continue to get better each day, each week, just to give ourselves a chance.
And you've had to play a mix of guys this year, because of the injury situation, a lot of youngins as well. Just what do you want to see coming from these kids coming down the home stretch, as you end 2024 and start, preparing for 2025?
Just fight. Just fight, man. Have that grit about you, man. Just fight, man. You fight and give yourselves a chance, and give yourselves a chance in the fourth quarter. See what happens. But just the biggest thing, just fight, not make the same mistakes over and over again. Learn from your mistakes. At this point, you should be self-correcting. When guys make a mistake, they should be able to come and tell you what they did wrong and how they need to correct it. And that's where we are for the most part across the board. When a guy does make a mistake, he understands what he did and how to correct it. And that's good. Anytime guys are able to self-correct at 18 or 20, 21 years old, that's a good sign.
Thanks for your time as always, Coach. Best of luck this weekend.
You got it. Thank you.
And our next questions for Coach Wilson come from Donald Ware.
Coach Wilson, good morning. How are you?
I'm good, Donald. How about yourself?
Pretty good. Is this in your, I guess, your third year at Morgan? Is this as big a game as you played at home, particularly this late in the season and still in the conference race?
I don't know about the biggest, well, I guess a meaningful game, if that makes sense. But we've been fortunate. My first 2 years, we've been playing some quote unquote meaningful games at the end. But yes, this is probably sits up there. Definitely playing against one of the best teams in FCS football. I think South Carolina State is top 10, top 12 team in the FCS football for sure. So anytime you get those guys at home, it's a blessing. I'm looking forward the orange and blue to show up this weekend and be a very good atmosphere to play a good competitive college football game.
As explosive as the offense is for South Carolina State, is there a team that you played this year, specifically from an offensive standpoint, that reminds you of South Carolina State?
I don't think we played anyone that has three guys as fast as those guys they have in those wide receiver positions. And then have a quarterback that understands the system. You can't give him the same read, the same look, I should say. You have to mix some things up with him, but he's a very cerebral guy. He has total control of the offense. He knows where to go with the football. He can hurt you with his legs as well. So I think this is definitely one of the best offenses that we've faced thus far this year.
And then how good is this defense? How good is your defense?
Well, we're only good as our last outing, and we didn't play very good this past weekend. So therefore, we must tighten up some things to get ready for this challenge this upcoming Saturday. I know we have the people in the room, and I know they've been prepared. We just got to put it all together, be consistent with it. And I don't think we did a great job of that, but I think Delaware State did an outstanding job exploiting some of the holes in our defense. But those guys, they showed up to work yesterday. Those guys weren't really excited about their performance, but once again, we got a W, which is important, and we have an opportunity to correct those things and get ready for the next challenge.
All right, I appreciate it, Coach Wilson. Thank you.
Yes, sir.
That concludes all of our media questions at this time for Coach Wilson. Thank you so much for joining us this morning.
Thank you.
Morgan State returns home to host South Carolina State on Saturday, November 16th at Hughes Stadium in Baltimore, Maryland. Kickoff is set for 4 p.m., airing on ESPN Plus, and will re-air via tape delay on ESPNU at 11 p.m. and 5 p.m. on Sunday, November 17th. This concludes the MEAC Weekly Football Coaches video conference. Before we end the call, we would like to thank all that assisted and participated in today's video conference. The MEAC would also like to thank its corporate partners for their continued support of the conference and its Elite 8 member institutions. As a reminder, the next video call is next Monday, November 18th at 10 a.m. For more information on MEAC football and other sponsored sports, visit MEACsports.com and follow the MEAC on social media at MEAC Sports on Facebook, X, Instagram, TikTok, and Threads. Thank you for tuning in to this week's MEAC Football Coaches video conference, and have a great football week.